What's poppin' YouTube? It's your boy Joel and we back at it with another video. Now, this video is gonna be a perfect example of everything is all fun and games until somebody wanna call the fade. Now, if you watch the No Jumper show, you know the cast. You got Adam, you got Lush, you got Suspect, and you got a new dude that they put on, Ricky. But there's one dude in particular that I want to talk about on this video. Now, there's a dude named Brandon. He's kind of new to the cast. I'm gonna say Brandon probably been there like 3 months maybe, and he's a lot different than what we used to on the show. You feel me? He's more like political and he brings a lot of race into it, and sometimes he sound real sharp, but sometimes I'm like, all right brother, you overdoing it, but I like him, you feel me? But nonetheless, a few months ago there was some drama between him and Suspect, which ended up getting Suspect kicked off the show because allegedly he had a knife. Now, since then, Brandon been kind of just going at it. Every time you hear him, he's talking about Suspect and how he's a bitch and how he needed a knife. But what Suspect didn't know when he was, going back and forth with Brandon is this nigga is a big nigga and he's a black belt. You feel me? He do Jiu Jitsu. Now, I ain't never seen the man do no Jiu Jitsu. Like I said, I'm pretty new to this guy, but, nonetheless, he's a big ass dude, and Suspect wasn't expecting that. He ended up pulling out a knife that kicked him off the show. Now, People been kind of making jokes ever since then, but Adam just had like a search for talent that he did on the show probably like 3 weeks ago. Like I said, there's a new dude named Ricky. This is where they found him. So a whole bunch of different people and content creators and podcast people came up there in hopes of trying to get a spot on the No Jumper show. And I guess in the beginning of the stream, because it was like an all-day thing that they did, in the beginning of the stream, I guess Brandon walks in and they had a dude there, and he ended up, Brandon's a jiu-jitsu, he always popping that shit, so he end up, grappling and shit. They doing it for the content, and this nigga falls on the ground. Now, if you a big dude and you popping your shit like, oh, nobody in the building gonna see me, every time you see me, he's not throwing it like that, but he has been popping it lately as far as like, I beat a nigga ass, at least ever since the Suspect thing happened. But nonetheless, he fell on the ground, and I'ma say it's a slip. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this nigga's weak or whatever, but he ended up slipping, and for the last week or so, my nigga been, out of town and shit, so niggas been like, where's Brandon? Ever since this nigga, fell on the ground, they made a new name for the dude that, made him trip or whatnot. They call him the Brandon Slayer, and niggas been running with the content for about, 2 weeks, especially because after the event happened, Brandon kind of disappeared, but I guess he was in Africa with his homies nonetheless, but somebody from Cuhmunity, shout out to motherfucking Cuhmunity, AD and Pun, you know what I mean? They was cracking they little jokey jokes on the situation, and I guess they was saying like, oh, Brandon, you ain't really got no hands, and you ain't really from where you say you from, and all of that shit. And I guess Brandon gets wind of it, and this nigga's like, hey man, it's one thing if you want to talk about me, but it's another thing if you want to talk about, my training that I've been through, you know what I mean? And I agree with him. If you was a UFC fighter, bare knuckle fighter, boxer, when other fighters step to you and they talk about like, oh, you's a bitch, you can't beat me, you know what I mean? There's only one thing you can really say is, hey, if you don't think, I am who I say I am with these hands, you can get it, you know what I mean? So I guess Brandon kind of got riled up and he was like, hey, Pump, pull up to the dojo and you can get it, you know what I mean? And they ran with that, I guess, on the Cuhmunity show. I was checking it out, and these niggas is crazy. They pulled up in some motherfucking Karate Kid geese looking like the Three Ninjas and shit. Of course, they was wearing the blue ones because they, fly crippin' and all of that shit. But they was running with it like, oh, he want to meet at the dojo. Oh, he he want to grapple. Oh, he wearing these shorts that, you could see his thigh meat when you watching the show. And we tired of that. The nigga looking like the lady off Scary Movie when the nuts popped out. You feel me? The shorts is that damn high. But nonetheless, you feel me? They cracking all of these jokes, but Brandon is serious. You know what I mean? So they cracking jokes, but it's like, ha ha. But I called you for the fade though, and Pun is, you know what I mean, saying like, oh, we could pull up to the dojo, and cracking jokes like that, like, oh, I'm ready, I'm in a gym lifting 15-pound weights and stuff like that, and I'm just like, hold on. They got their homies, like Rick Rock and them, they calling into the show. They actually did a second show where they was still on the dojo thing. If you know one thing about AD that Adam used to say, he runs with the same kind of jokes for a little while. Like, when I was listening to the show, at first I was real like, oh man, yeah, this is funny. But after a while, especially when they brought that second episode in, these niggas was getting hella drunk on the episode and basically was running with the, oh, we gonna go to the dojo, we gonna beat up your sensei. They calling a nigga Sensei Labubu, basically just saying Brandon is a full-fledged hoe. And at the end of the day, what I didn't hear on any of these episodes, yeah, they was saying, yeah, you can get it, but we ain't giving you the fair one. But Brandon is saying, yo, I'm down to catch the fair one. If you think, especially because Pun he's a big guy. I don't know exactly how tall my nigga is, but he definitely ain't no motherfucking shrimp. But at the same time, he's hella old. My nigga gotta be at least 50 years old, 48, pushing a high 40 on him. And I say Brandon is probably like, I'ma say Brandon is maybe low or maybe high 30s. You know what I mean? And he practices this jujitsu, I think 3 days a week. You know what I mean? And like I said, he looked kind of chubby, but I ain't never seen him really squabble up. We seen the whole thing. We heard the breathing and shit when he was doing the grappling, trying to get suspect after he got spit on. But nonetheless, where is the line if it's like, if you cracking jokes on me and you coming at me some type of way, I'm all for the fun and games. But once you cross that line, what's to say what you gonna do if I fire on you, if I catch you out at the burger spot, or if I see you, out and about? Because some people, they can take the jokes, but some jokes just don't hit the same, especially like if you with your people and they crack a joke on you, you might shut up nigga, you know what I mean? But when it's somebody you don't know, especially if they're getting content off you and people is making memes and running with it, nigga, sometimes that shit ain't funny. And I'm just like, Pun, what's happening? Is you gonna run that fade with that man? I also heard AD. He said he was down to get in the ring. Maybe they could do like a boxing celebrity match, the Cuhmunity versus No Jumper, because there's a couple, there's some feuds going on. You got T-Rail, you feel me? You got Pun, you got Brandon, you got Adam. I'm sure there's some fades that you can line up and they can get that real content because the people want to see it. You know what I mean? Especially when you own there. And you popping it, because you can't say, yo, we don't want to come to the dojo and we don't want to fight you that kind of way. Okay, there's no rules in fighting. So I'm like, if you want to get a nigga from the shoulders, it shouldn't be a problem. If it's like, hey nigga, if you swinging from the shoulders and I trip you and I wrap your ass up and choke you out, that shouldn't be a problem. Because if you was on the street and you swung and a nigga ducked and took your ass out, it would just be what it was, night. And we don't want to have to see none of the niggas looking like AD sitting on the ground after a beatdown. You feel me? Like I said, these niggas is drunk and popping it, but eventually niggas is like, yo, where's the fade at? You feel me? So I'm real interested to see what Brandon gonna come with, because he already put the motherfucking line out. He want to meet at the dojo. I don't know if my nigga gonna come in there with them shorts on, or is he gonna come in there on some wah? But either way, I'm interested. Like I said, I think that Brandon might really put hands and feet on that man, Pun. And I don't think Pun is no hoe, but I just think my man is old. He out of shape. He drinking, and his job is to sit on the podcast. So he not really in the gym, especially when they go into the gym doing 15-pound weights. Nigga, we some grown-ass niggas here. So yeah, man, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Let me know, do you think Brandon, you feel me, drew that line with Pun, and Pun need to, step to the plate and stop making podcasts about the nigga and show up and do it, you feel me? They said they was gonna pull up to the dojo. If that nigga is there, is you getting down, or is you up there with the camera out trying to get a picture? And you know what I mean? He said, hey, what you think that Brandon gonna do if he see you out in the street? He said, nigga, I think he gonna try to shake my hand. Nigga, he don't want that. He want that. Is you down to, you feel me? Hey, you remember back in the day when Pun called out Josh on No Jumper, and that nigga Josh did not want to go outside that day. That nigga Brandon want to go outside this day. So yeah, man, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Would that be a good fight? Do you think Pun gonna get slept, or you think he can hang with Brandon? Either way, I'm about to get out of here. So as always, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, because you already know we got more on the way. And as always, you already know what it is and you know who it is. It's Jolin. It's Varsity. Peace.